because it's saving you the pain of going through that whole process and knowing that that's not where you wanted to go ahead of time to then go back and change it. And that's where acceleration helps, because it's actually making you think through multiple decisions, like, those like choose your journey type of books, like before you come to that.
Welcome to the AI Space podcast, where we strive to empower AI founders, innovators, startups, and businesses to drive innovation and scale their initiatives with game-changing insights. I'm your host, Sanjay Kalluvilayil, founder and CEO of Stonehouse Advisors, a consultancy focused on helping founders and businesses grow, transform, and scale to new levels and dimensions. This is our third episode, and we're thrilled to have Jabeen Zaidi, a renowned AI designer. She's the CEO and design founder of Spring AI Studio. Jabeen is a visionary leader in the AI space, known for her innovative approach to AI-driven design and user experience. Her work at Spring AI Studio has been transforming how businesses interact with AI technologies. Today we'll discuss AI democratization, empowering businesses and unique experiences, business scaling, cost-effective strategies to grow your business, technology challenges, integrating AI into creative and design processes, ethical and responsible AI, balancing innovation with user-centric design, and finally some encouragement, some final thoughts and insights. So let's dive right in. We're going to focus on some game-changing insights. So Jabeen, here on the AI Space podcast, we highlight game-changing insights that drive innovation and scale business initiatives. What insights have you seen in the last year that founders and innovators are using to scale up their businesses in the AI space?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks so much for having me on the show. To start, I think it's excellent you're having this podcast, because we're in the middle of what I would like to say an AI transformation, just like everyone went through a digital transformation. And so when businesses have a strategic view of the AI of technology and how it can enhance their businesses, they need to be looking at AI. And I'm not saying just regular ChatGPT and all that, but like data, how can they be smarter? How can they be more efficient? And so my insights would really drive looking at the small areas, every small area of your business, and then how can you accelerate that with AI? And there's so many products out there, and I'm excited to talk about my own and also others. And yeah, that's what I would say is, as long as you're open-minded to that, it would really help scale their business.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful perspective. Jabeen, this is why we started the show, so that our AI founders and innovators can drive innovation and scale their businesses. And I know that our audience is going to gain a wealth of knowledge from you today, especially about what you said about, I think you mentioned basically some around some micro innovation too in the business, right? Before we continue, I want to invite everyone to follow Jabeen Zaidi and like, comment, and subscribe to the AI Space podcast, because that helps us grow the show to have more impressive guests like Jabeen. So, Jabeen, could you tell us a little bit more about your background, how you got here, what led you into this foray into AI-driven design, and your path in founding Spring AI Studio?
So, I've been a designer, I would say, all my life. And, from high school to college, when you had to make a decision, what do you want to be? I found industrial design to be something that takes art and into a functional, useful way to create products. And industrial design is more like hardware product design. At NGIT, I studied that, converted my career into UX design software. And that's where, I kind of became this design founder, where, being trained in accelerator programs that teach designers how to become entrepreneurs. There was a program called 30 Weeks from Google I had in New York. And so all that training kind of led me to have the entrepreneurial spirit, even in the corporate world, startup world. I've entered 10 years in all kinds of roles like that. But basically in the tail end of 2022, which everyone remembers when it started booming, this generative AI technology, image generation was becoming something no one had ever seen before. I saw an opportunity where this was actually going to help me in my design career. And there was two ways either designers like me looked at it. They were like, oh my gosh, this is here to take my job. Oh my gosh, AI is doing design for us, like, and now no one's going to hire me, or how can this help me? And I was on that how can this help me part, but no one at that moment was looking at it in that direct lens, I think, at the beginning. And so I said, as a product designer, I was like, if I want to control how this new technology is going to come out, I should be part of it. And so I decided to create my own company at that time. And that's where Spring was born. I partnered with my CTO, my AI architect, and he had this technology experience. I had the design and vision. We paired up, made a super team together, and we created this solution that became something that would empower the professional production level image generation and editing, and even going further than that. Since 2 years since then, we've been able to expand that vision to really, again, our vision is about empowering people who may not have had that design experience, or who are designers but want to accelerate. How can we give them those tools to bring their vision forward?
Right. I know a lot of our users may be familiar with like Midjourney, or our audience may be familiar with Midjourney, Canva, etc. So how does your AI studio fit into that space?
Yeah, so Spring is exactly in that group of like Midjourney, Canva type tools where, users who come there, they just have a simple text prompt, or they have an idea, for example, in Canva, and they have tools to visually build that idea, right? So what we did is Spring is geared more towards the advanced image generation. So if you're looking for a very intuitive experience, where Midjourney had, um, as we started, it was, a Discord channel. You had to go through all these different chat rooms in order and compete with hundreds and thousands of people prompting to create it. I wanted to create a private space so that you have your own private workspace where you're generating AI imagery as you do, and with all full privacy. And then the Canva side, you know, it has image generation, but it's not very top quality. It kind of gets it wrong, or distortions, or it's low kind of resolution. And so what we did is we combined the two, made a very intuitive experience for you to do all that image generation and editing. And then also we have a built-in Canva type tool called the Creator, where as you generate your images, as advanced as you want to go, or edit them, you can take them within the same experience without hopping tool to tool, which many tools are doing like multiple things. We've made an all-in-one solution, so you can upscale, you can reimagine tools, you can magic brush, remove the objects, you can swap faces, you can do, like, we have a total of around 12 AI tools in one platform, and it's very seamless, very intuitive. Again, I'm a designer, so I built the product to be very intuitively designed, and that's how we kind of level set with that.
No, that's great. And so who would be your target segments, your niche segments, and the use cases that you're kind of focused on?
So our target number one user type is marketing and marketers, and that kind of touches on many, say you're a solopreneur, like an entrepreneur, or you have a business. Everyone has marketing needs. So that's why we've built this tool to really target that need. So you can scale your marketing operations, create visually engaging, brand consistent designs, and then, so marketing, tons of features for there. And then our big two niches that have been more successful in the B2B section is fashion design. So our AI stylist tool, for example, can easily change outfits and generate new models and put new garments on those models, so that you can then put them on your Shopify store, or your Etsy store, whatever your brand is. And so, um, that has been a really good use case for our niche. And then the last but not least, which I think is going to make a big impact, is renovation and interior design. So the power of our generative AI technology, the way we've built it, is to really be um, help you make the visual decision making for when you are trying to redesign your room or renovate your house. And so we've built these tools specifically in those use cases in mind to help you do that. And so real estate, interior design, all of those have been, big use cases of our product.
Great. And so you said marketers and entrepreneurs, etc. So on the fashion design part, have you been working with any retail stores, or are you just focusing more?
We are working with two fashion designers that actually they're using it in their fashion design process. There are some users that, for example, business owners that are using it to model their, for example, children's clothing brand. So she, it's difficult for her to find children models that want to, that have their parental approval to like, wear outfits and post them. And so you can AI generate children, and they are, and then you can apply garments on them like wearing sweaters and wearing their PJs and have those model shots on the website. And so it's safer, it's easier, and it saves her hundreds of dollars on like hiring models and for the photo shoot and things like that.
Well, that's an interesting perspective, especially children's safety, privacy, and having images of children and some of the issues around that. So that's good to see. I do have access to your studio, and I see there's different things. So let's talk about generate realistic images and art from text. So that's pretty cool. But one thing I want to say before that is I've used ChatGPT, DALL-E, and it creates some images, right? But it doesn't do so well on the text for the image, when it actually creates it. And then if you want to say, hey, I want to change the image, just change this. It actually sometimes generates a completely new image, and you can't hold some of the stuff static, right? So how does your image generation work?
You'll be able to do all of that. So say we have you want to generate an image of a man holding a sign waiting at an airport, with your name Sanjay on it, right? It's gonna say very clearly Sanjay, very text legible. Our advanced AI image generation technology, which I'll get into later, has very high legibility. So you can put that, and then if you wanted to change that background or remove the people in the back, and you wanted to keep the rest of the image static, you would just take it to our magic editing tool, which is called the magic brush, and just select the area that you want and write the prompt of what you want to change, or just click remove object and it would do that. It would keep it static. It would keep, that image the way it is. Going a little further, all of our AI tools, so for our text to image, which you saw is called our AI Studio, that's what you see regularly on like Midjourney and things. It's just it's a text to image generator. So you type in a prompt.
Can you define? So, we talked about UX before. That's user experience. So that's the end user experience. So for our audience that's not familiar, talk about the prompting process in here.
Yes, so it's actually the way we've done it is so intuitive because we've researched, this is from the user experience side, we researched the process people would take to write a prompt. And a lot of times there's many, you've probably seen the master class of prompt engineering and they're hundreds of dollars and you have to learn how to prompt and you have to learn these keywords and all these little secret code words. People don't have the patience or time to do that, write paragraphs and paragraphs. They just have a clear vision. They just need help articulating it. And they shouldn't have to learn the language of that certain tool that requires specific hyphens and dashes to like communicate that. So what we did is transform those needs, the top things that they require, the aspect ratio, what size do I want it, square, like vertical, horizontal.
And that comes in handy for social media because whether it's Facebook, Instagram, you have to have a certain format, right?
It's all click and go. You just have to literally just type in a few keywords, click the aspect ratio. We have preset styles that are most common, or you can define your own. And then we have lighting. All of that is in a very intuitive touch and go interface. And then even better is we have a little magic wand next to your input. Click that, and that's our OpenAI ChatGPT direct integration that will write that prompt for you over, like based on just even one word like hat or man or whatever, and or something as complex as you want, and you just want a little enhancement of it. Our magic prompt tool will take that prompt and enhance it, right? Like all these different modifiers like lighting and things that will make that prompt even better before you even send it to the image generator, and then the image generator will make a much better image than what you may have wanted to articulate. But because we've trained our magic prompt tool to speak that language for you on your behalf, it knows how to get that those keywords that you wrote in the best possible light in the result. And so, we thought through on how, like, end to end, the ideation process that it takes before you even submit the prompt. How can we make it easy for you to decide the color scheme, the styles, the lighting, the aspect ratio, even we have very advanced guidance controls. So how complex do you want the image? How many images do you want? One or four? And all of that is available for trying for free, because we've really believed in a freemium model, where I think we'll get to the democratization part, where I want people to really leverage this tool and see that impact it can have. And so we'll always lifetime have a free membership available where you can generate 30 images per month, for free, and no level of advanced settings will impact the amount of images that you do, because some generators will limit you, like, oh, if you try to make it too complex, that requires more credits and all of that. And so we've kind of made it easy.
That's cool. Yeah, prompts are the instructions, right? So I know sometimes in some of the other ones, I say as a marketing expert, or in this case, as a fashion or brand design expert, create this image, right? And say maybe I'll give an example. Say maybe I'm doing some marketing and I want to talk about strategy and reaching a summit or whatever. So I would say, depict a man in a maybe in certain type of outfit, right? In the mountains and hills, the lush mountains and hills of Kerala, India. That's where my family's from, right? And based on that prompt, it should generate something similar to that. Or if somebody says in the deserts of the Mojave Desert or whatever, and that based on that, it should generate an image according to that, right?
Exactly, yeah. And then if you add the magic prompt, it'll even enhance that even further. It'll add, swirling, I don't know, sand and all these kinds of details. In addition, we actually have our own little chatbot, our AI chatbot, that is our ChatGPT integration, that will also give you ideas, more ideas, and just from a text to conversation perspective, which very soon we're actually going to have it be a voice assistant, where you can now just say, like, hey, can you help me come up with some ideas for this summit in India, for example? And it will help write those ideas for you, speak them to you. It can be conversational, and then turn them into imagery and visualization. So, we're really thinking through how can this become a seamless part of someone's creative process, and where, they may otherwise not know where to start.
Oh, that's great. Let's get into AI democratization. So this is a good, I think for the people interested in the technology, we'll get to a technology section too. So, um, what do you see as the key challenges and opportunities in making AI accessible to founders and businesses from diverse backgrounds? How can we bridge this gap?
So, many times you are limited by your visual skills or your creative skills in order to be able to convey that idea. And so, if someone had a great idea, you'd have to find someone who can help you create it into a prototype or a drawing or a presentation. And so now you no longer have that hindrance, that block. So, if you have that great idea, you're not limited by the skills that you need to portray that idea, to convey that idea. And that's what I think, that's what democratization is coming in. We are allowing people to be empowered by technology. With the power of their idea, they can really be able to share it. And so in order to get that next investor, or someone to actually, whoever you're trying to convey that idea to, whether you're talking about, you just create a business idea, you need a logo, you want to hire a designer for it, you may not have the budget. At least you can ideate the logos, or even use our Sprint to create the logos, because now it's really good at legible text, to create that, get your brand up and running, make your website, and then have content that looks professional, and be able to do it yourself. And I'm not saying that this is going to replace designers' jobs and creative people who are doing these things for others before. I think it's going to accelerate those jobs, make them work better and scale their delivery and everything. But it's also giving access to people who otherwise may not be able to afford those designers, but be able to get some idea out there, because that's that first step, right? That can turn someone who just is really struggling, maybe hates their job, they have this idea. In order for them to take that risk and leap, they need to visualize it, show it to someone. Now they can do that, right? So that's what I'm hoping to do. That's part of our core vision of Spring.
Yeah, no, that's great. And one of the challenges is from people from different groups or areas too is access to funding. So tell us about your journey, in terms of how you funded your business. Did you bootstrap? And I heard recently that you won some sort of pitch competition and raised some capital. So congratulations. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that journey. Let's start with how you started,
Yeah.
in terms of your funding, how you kind of got that going, and then to the current state, right? And then where you're headed.
Yeah, so it started back in 2022, end of 2022. I was still working a full-time job, and at that time I was looking for something to invest in. And this idea came up, and so I had savings, and so we have been self-funded for majority of this time, for the past 2 years. But we did raise some angel funding back in June of this year. So I went back to my roots. I'm in Texas now, but I went back to the East Coast and did some pitch competitions there and just pitching events, startup grind, all these New York City events in Trenton. And so met a great woman. She's a close advisor. She shared our vision, shared our passion. She became my angel investor, and then going forward,
Can
we're
I ask you a follow-up question on that for those that don't know what an angel investor is? So how does an angel investor work, and how is
so
that different from like a VC or somebody else,
yeah.
right?
So angel investor is usually just like a private investor. They're not a part of any venture fund or any um equity stake and things like that. And so this is her first time ever investing in any company. She wanted to support a woman founder, and was looking for like a right person, and I came along and she saw my pitch. And so we have a private agreement, and so she has an equity holding for in return for some capital that she invested. And so and right now we are in the process of funding again. Um, Basically, pre-seed was self-funded. Seed, we had a little bit of angel investment. Seed meaning in the stage of the product being developed and enhancing it. And then next would be Series A, which after we show some level of um, larger revenue traction and pipeline of growth and all of that, then we can go bigger and ask for millions of dollars hopefully. So that's our goal. So yeah, I'm happy to say I'm part of a mentorship group called AI Venture House here in Dallas, led by Dan Sinowat.
And just
And
let you know, Dan was on the last episode. So
oh, what? Okay,
yeah,
great.
yeah. And we
Yes.
meant, so yeah.
So Dan is one of my mentors, and so he held this pitch competition at an AI McKinney event, and we won the grand prize of $10,000. So and a mentorship session, one-on-one mentorship session that was like a strategy kind of session to guide us on what next steps we should be taking and we can be introduced to and all that. So it was really it was nice to get that recognition and to feel that win, because a founder's life is very roller coaster, ups and downs. We go through lots of trials and being like a self-funded, lean bootstrap startup, we are looking for any opportunity to like help us gain exposure and network and all that. So it was really great to kind of have a little bit of a win under the belt.
Right. That's amazing. So what's next? I mean, obviously you've already mentioned you're looking more for more funding. So how do you approach that for those that are out there trying to get to that next stage?
So we are right now, since we've successfully, I would say, built our product to the the max it can be. I mean, there's always going to be growth. We want to be able to now really gain our community and our user base and show that larger traction, revenue, because our business model right now is a freemium with a $20 a month subscription, and then the most premium one is I think $40. And then we also have team structure, so you can have multiple teams. And so relatively affordable. We've kept our price plans. And so now we're just trying to really grow that user base and to then showcase to our investors like the impact that we're having and the revenue. And then also our partnerships are underway with multiple universities right now. We've piloted one university, NGIT, which is actually my own university. So this semester we've had around 100 students using Spring, from architecture to interior design, digital design, and so we're looking to close that contract, get into many other design universities to integrate into their curriculum, to show how this is going to be like the next tool that every designer in the future needs to have. So our goal is to become the industry standard. We want to, again, one thing we didn't touch yet is our security and our privacy and our ethical use. And so we've built our platform geared towards that, you know, underlining all the red tape that we need to be, cognizant of, so that we can be a safe platform and used for that professional use. And so that's our goal for next year, for this coming months and stuff. And we're just going to be, building it to be, like I said, the industry standard.
No, that's great, because I think that brings us to our next question. So you built the product, you got it to a pretty robust state as far as you can take it, you kind of max it out. You're building your community. So now you're at the next stage. Okay, you got a little bit of funding, you're making some momentum. Now it's a question of scaling, right? So our next section is actually business scaling. So how can AI revolutionize the creative and design process to enhance the user experience and trigger a quantum leap in creating the next unicorn?
So I think we have to think of AI as a tool that's going to just accelerate your tasks that you have. So think of the tasks that you have. You're trying to connect with an elderly group, say for example for your product. So you want to visualize that in with people in that user group. So you might need to have your product um, be held by that person, or showcase it in the setting, or create imagery for your brand with that audience. So you don't have the budget to um, go and do photo shoots and this and that and have the rights and stock imagery and all that. So now you can use generative AI technology to enhance your marketing campaigns, to really scale that. But if you're talking about the creating the user experience of in for innovation, now you can take a sketch and convert that into a photorealistic image. And so when you're taking any design of a product, of a logo, um, or a building or a real estate, construction project, all of that can be taken from blueprint to photorealistic, and think about the impact that would have on businesses to help them visualize decisions. That's going to make me want to buy that property if I can enhance it in this way. That's going to make me want to buy this dress or work with this person, because like it's giving people tools to accelerate what they may not be able to do at that moment, but because of the technology, it can give them the boost of, the visuals that can really empower their vision and whatever they're trying to convey. And so AI needs to be seen as a tool that's really going to just help people communicate their ideas. And with that is where it's going to give you that next unicorn, as you say, because it's all going to come down to that power of your idea. And so I would say you need to really do the homework and research. Anyone out there building a project and they have an idea, the stronger your idea is, the better the AI will be able to help you, because it's gonna, it's like what they say, like garbage in, garbage out. You want to put good ideas in there and it will help you with that. So if that helps, does that answer the question?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And then, tying to our previous conversation in the scaling, we talked about funding, right? But from a business and technology perspective, what do you need to do to scale?
From a business technology perspective, can you restate? The question is just for like a business that
Or
wants.
for yourself, like even
Okay.
for yourself,
Oh, for myself.
right? So we talked about funding, right?
Hmm.
And, from a business mindset, business
Oh,
strategy,
yes,
from a
yes.
technology platform, we're going to cover technology details later, but from that, what do you kind of have to invest in to get to that next level?
Okay, one thing I would advise, and I'm taking this advice myself, after learning from multiple AI startups that have hatched in the past 2 years, and they have gained a lot of millions of dollars of VC funding. I was reading articles that said that, you need to be targeting the B2B space, because B2C is um, is only going to get so much, and it's going to cost a lot for that customer acquisition. But if you do partner and integrate in businesses that then rely on your technology, it's going to give you much more revenue. And so that is a direction that we're all also heading. We have a both B2B side and B2C side. And so from a business perspective, I would advise everyone to think, how can you help any business? And then from a technology side, there's so much open source AI technology out there that can be leveraged for you to build. For example, AI agents is a big thing. And that's one thing that we're all building for ourselves. We're building an AI agent of Spring to work on our site for everyone else. So it's kind of like a concierge. And so that there's so many niches that people can really turn that into and see how can it automate and how can it enhance. But then I'll also very, very carefully look at data privacy and data structure and see like which tools that you're using and how you're using it. It needs to be very cleanly architected, so involving cybersecurity in your processes. My actually CTO is a chief cybersecurity expert as well for a decade, and so having that background plus AI technology has been really helpful to be able to build a sustainable, foundation. And so, yeah, that's what I would advise from that side.
Okay, great. All right, now we'll get into technology, okay? So, how can a founder build an AI design studio without harming the culture and creating a demoting environment for creatives, right? I think that's the fundamental question in this whole thing, right?
So, like I was saying, AI should be seen as a tool. And so the key word here is design. Right? If you're trying to, if the question is, are you trying to build a design agency that is using AI to work on things for clients? You know, a little known fact, but a very major part of design is everything outside of design, which is the decision making, the requirements, the user research, the brainstorming, the authentic messaging. All of that directs the visuals. And so the more that your team can be skilled in understanding the reason for creating a visual, because anything now, it's so easy to make a pretty picture, but what we're talking about is a strategic, impactful. What's the difference between just a pretty picture and something that's going to make you buy something, right? Or change something or do something. And so all of that comes down to that, the strategy behind the vision. And so I would say, like, you need to um not make the designers so dependent on AI visualization where they can't think for themselves, because they need to very clearly first understand what they're doing, all the intelligence, human intelligence behind the creativity, because AI again is should be just seen as a tool that's going to help just bring that to life, right? But it all comes down to the actual skill. So investing in a team that values research and validation, and seeing other customer reactions and things like that is gonna make a any designer stand out better and be more successful.
Yeah, no, I've spent the last 30 years, consulting and advising companies and spent a lot of time doing internet research, buying market research, etc., right? It takes a lot of time, and especially in crunch times, you need more of that time for the creativity, the decision making, the intelligence. I have a confession to make. Is like right before this, I had a client deliverable due, and I had this. We're doing this podcast, right? I had 15 minutes. I went to one tool. I said, okay, I used three or four tools. I went to Perplexity and said, who are the top design creative tools, AI tools out there? Great. Okay. Now, what are their target segments and use cases? Okay, great. You did some prompts and said create the best visual to identify that, and it came up with like a heat map. And I said, okay, but I looked at it as like, this is pretty good, but there's something wrong with it, because that goes back to you can't just trust everything that AI produces. And then I went to ChatGPT, did the same thing. It came out with a different result. Finally came out with a heat map. But at least now, then I have to go do my own. I accelerate that process. But now within a couple of minutes, I can look at it and go, okay, there's freelancers, there's marketers, there's designers, there's businesses, right? What use case is it? Branding? Is it image generation? Interior design, social media graphics, UX design, and then really see, okay, is it really Canva, Midjourney, your company, right? And some of the other ones that they've identified, but actually accelerate that process. But you still have to use your intelligence, creativity, and not just trust what's been produced.
It's critical thinking, and that's one thing I had to actually advocate for when I was speaking to university professors who were kind of very doubtful or fearful of AI, and I'm trying to convince them that they need to bring AI into their curriculum because this is going to be a staple in the designer's future. And so telling them that this is actually going to increase their critical thinking because now it's making you think even further than you could have gone, and knowing, okay, maybe I didn't verbally communicate that properly, or maybe I need to change this, and it kind of makes you think differently because you're almost seeing the future of like what potential impact of what a small decision can make. And that's where AI accelerates because it's saving you the pain of going through that whole process and knowing that that's not where you wanted to go ahead of time to then go back and change it. And that's where acceleration helps because it's actually making you think through multiple decisions, like, those like choose your journey type of books, like before you come to that.
Choose your adventure, right?
Yeah, choose your adventure, exactly.
That's kind of dating us, I think, in terms of.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Because the current internet model, the search model, you have to go to these. Pulls up websites, sponsors, PDF files, and 50-page PDF file to find one little thing that you're looking for, and it's usually not the right content. So you accelerate that process, but then you're forced to. You get some answers, but the cool thing about prompts is like it teaches you. You have to be very, not absolutely precise, but you have to be more precise in the way you ask questions, and you have to be more. You have to think deeper. It's like, okay, well, I got to this answer, but what I need is a better visual that represents it in this group by this order, or you need to be more descriptive, and it makes you more articulate, which is interesting.
Yes, 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 exactly. That's where I think it's going to actually enhance people's, critical thinking and verbal communication because it's not taking it away. And so, yeah.
So, in terms of technology, people know large language models, that's more text-based, right? The technologies underlying the visual side, right? They're different. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Spring specifically actually is very proudly using Black Forest Labs Flux model. And so Flux is a um, open source image generation technology that has actually in a blind test in the image generation arena, it surpassed all like Midjourney and Canva and Stable Diffusion in like the ELO score, which is meaning like it's speed, it's efficiency, it's photorealism, it's lack of hallucinations, it's text legibility, like every type of measurement scale that you would want to measure how good an AI generator technology is, it surpassed. And so we're using that technology in every single one of our tools where we've applied it to be able to realistically apply garments or realistically generate text or realistically, transform faces into different avatars. Like it's such a powerful technology. And so the way image generation technology works is like it's trained on billions of data sets, right? That are connected and trained to convert a word into an image. And so there's so many, like millions of images that can be associated with one word. And so there's different variations depending on, and that's what you call modifiers and all of that. And so that's all like prompt engineering. And so what Flux has done is they've made a way to make it very efficient and work with natural language. So very easily prompt and just no use of complex code words. You can just clearly say the way you would speak it or talk to someone about it, and would be able to generate that image. And so and it's super fast. So we're excited that we're using that technology. And yeah, it makes it, because I think the common frustrations that people have with image generation is, it gave them an extra foot, or like the face looks weird, or like the eyes are crossed, or the fingers are wrong. So Flux has eliminated 90% of those issues, and it meets expectations.
Right, right. Um, do you know how it's different than, say, a diffusion model? You know how Flux works versus a diffusion model or any of the models?
Yeah, it's basically works similarly to that, because it's creating, the it's the architecture behind it is similar to like the image diffusion, because it's connecting all of that into like different structures of image to image. And so Flux also came out with image editing tools, which we've integrated and customized so that you can take one image and transform it into a different style and apply those images based on structural reference. And so like that involves that whole diffusion process. And
Yeah. Yeah, no, I guess if you're talking about dogs, right, and it has to be trained on certain types of dogs, right? Whether it's a African dog or a Great Dane or a Chihuahua or whatever. But if it's not been trained on that type of dog, then it probably doesn't pop up for a certain situation, right? And I guess the diffusion is like you think about like a drop, and so when you see it, I guess the image starts off with like all the noise, right? So you don't see an image, and you put some prompts in, and you ask for about a dog, and they could start off as a wolf or a coyote or a dog, and then you have to give it a little bit more. Okay, what color is it, or as you give more information, it removes the noise and gets more precise on what it should look like, right?
and well, out front it'll always give you a very precise image. If you said dog, it'll give you a Labrador or whatever.
Well, to me, I have a Rhodesian Ridgeback that's 150 pounds. So, like, to me, nothing else is a dog. So that would be the wrong answer, right?
So that'd be the wrong answer. So you would have to write that specific like keywords to get that. And then we also do have, like I mentioned, like there are a complexity scale. So you even make it even like closely following that prompt. And but it does depend exactly on that prompt, right? Like, and one thing I want to mention is the globalization of our tool, because one thing is there's like a big bias, right? You know, like you're always gonna get like white males or white females if you type man or woman sometimes in many image generators. What we've done is we've actually put geolocation specific ethnicities and context to if you are in India and you type in man, you're actually going to get an Indian man, or like or in China or wherever, and it's kind of specific to like that location. So we've kind of added that diversity into our platform, like without having to have any additional like prompting necessary.
Right. How do you avoid that? I know there's a situation with the famous situation where you try to insert too much diversity. So maybe you ask about Nazi Germany, and it creates diverse images of what that doesn't look like, Nazi Germans. Or
We haven't tried that, but I mean, it might be actually censored to write that word. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it does apply diversity in different ways, so you'd have to try it to test
well,
it out.
yeah, I think it generated images that didn't look like Nazi Germans. It was
Yeah,
a
it
very
did.
diverse
Very
group of
diverse.
folks. At least our stereotype, right?
I remember seeing that. Yeah,
Well, that was Gemini or something like that, right? Wait,
yeah, yeah, Gemini.
so yeah, I think we've talked about technology. So let's talk about ethical AI. As an advocate for user-centric design, what advice do you have for founders balancing AI innovation with responsible and ethical design practices?
I think it's important for anyone building AI products to be conscious about where that data is coming from and how it's being used. Because think of AI is basically it's data, right? And so in this case, it's image data. Images are being trained on, and images are being used for. So for example, Flux claims that it's trained on stock images, like licensed imagery, and not stolen artwork. And so that kind of makes us feel more comfortable using this model that has not, for example, many other image generators have like lawsuits because artists are saying they stole our work and it was trained on it and all that. So that ethical side of where it's trained from is really important. And then what it's being used for. And so again, our target here is professional use. And so and even educational use. And so in that state we want to be able to make to say to policy compliance that you can't generate not safe graphics and things like very graphic or inappropriate content on our platform. So we've implemented multiple levels of security and censorship to just allow for that safety. And I think it's important for everyone because you know we want AI to be used for good, right? And it all comes down to the way that you're being self-regulated at this point, and we're already following European guidelines in that state because their government is still catching up, right? They're still trying to figure out the policies around it, and so we're going a step further. We're already regulating and creating those requirements for our product. And then the last thing is privacy and confidentiality. One thing as a designer, we have a lot of clients that require, not having their images or progress shared online, right? Because it's confidential. They're still in progress. And so a lot of platforms are automatically publishing, their images that are generated and things like that. And so what we do is we enable full privacy control for our users. And not only are the images that they generate have privacy control, but the ones that they are editing, if they ever upload an image and edit it, that never even touches our database. Like we don't store those images. So only the images that they're generating get saved to their profile, but the ones that they're editing, if they're uploading their own photo or any of their own work, and we're trying to remove people in the background or whatever, that doesn't get stored on our servers, and that has to be locally downloaded or it's going to be erased forever. So that's kind of our commitment to our confidentiality and privacy and security that I don't think any other platform out there is doing.
No, that's great. I want to follow up on that because as I'm using different platforms, as an entrepreneur, I've been building out my branding guidelines and all these things. And you can post your branding guidelines onto some of these sites, and they'll create present. You can type in some text, and it'll create the presentation for you. And then you use your creativity to create all these images or presentations or what have you. But now it's up in somebody else is using that to train their models, and it's being exposed, and that's a concern because even on the tech side, I always say you should think of what type of data do you have. Is it general data that's for general consumption? Do you have your personal data? You have your company data, and then your client data, right? So in the middle, in the text world, or data world, it's you can have medical information, right? And so maybe it's a medical scan, of an image of a scan of a tumor or whatever. So
Or even like children's. The one thing that made me want to do this is I saw people uploading pictures of their children and saying, "Oh, make her into a princess," and I'm like, "That's public for everyone to see." And for example, like on Discord, and I'm like, I that's not safe, right? Like, and so that was one of the things that really made me want to make this is a private.
yeah, I guess that also goes back to if some that gets in the wrong hands and say make this into whatever other kind of it's inappropriate, right? And you got those are things that kind of be figured out and managed, right? Well, all right. 2025. What do you see as the top trends in 2025? What do you see?
Well, I think that, like I was saying, I think real estate interior design is going to be really impacted by AI in having, in the B2B side and kind of just like a really like large scale buying decision making. So I'm excited that Spring is already moving in that direction and creating, even more products geared towards that. And then one thing that I think is exciting is video. And so I'm excited to announce that Spring has a motion maker video tool that is live, and we are basically going to be able to take any image and animate it into movie, like 5 to 10 second movies, and not just like it's moving. but it's actually the characters are talking, or moving their hands, or dancing and things like that. And so I'm really excited about that feature because it's very high fidelity, high production quality. And, I'm encouraging, like, there's this video game competition I'm having some students do. They're creating their own video game characters. And so I think video is going to be the biggest thing. Um, yeah, and just how people are going to use it to transform their own designs and products.
And then what do you see for your design studio in 2025? What's going to be the big focus?
Um, well, yeah, like I said, I think video is going to be a big one. And then spring is going to really focus on B2B partnerships as well. So how can we integrate with Shopify, or Etsy, or Pinterest, or things like platforms like that that can help make content enhanced and transformed and more engaging. And so we're looking to a lot more B2B.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. And then you know, let's talk about some encouragement. There's people from all different backgrounds. I think they have an opportunity to come to the space, right? So I know you come from a different background. I'm not sure where your family's from originally, but you have a different experience. You talked about being a woman founder, right? So what's some encouragement to the folks out there that kind of struggling, trying to move forward? They feel like they don't fit in. What's your advice toward them or encouragement toward them?
I honestly find so much support just getting out and attending these networking events, and pitch events, even if I'm not pitching, or any technology events that are coming up. It's You always meet someone that will connect with you, will just empower you, will give you, like, I found such a amazing ecosystem of support here. That's how I met Dan, and here in DFW area, and also in New York and New Jersey area. I think there's always and this, when I say like AI revolution, like, I really think it's sparking so much secret entrepreneurship in people that people otherwise didn't have the courage to follow through because it would have taken so much effort. But now there's so much more entrepreneurial spirit in people, or just not even entrepreneurial, but just like they're excited. And I think, if you're in this space, you'll be able to find someone or something to, work towards. And I just encourage, in this whole remote world that we live in, actually getting out of your bubble and introducing and meeting people, it really does help. So
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I was transitioning out of some other consulting spaces and moving to AI, and I got some certifications, etc. I went to this AI networking event a couple months ago, and you were presenting there actually, and
oh.
that's where we met, right?
Oh,
And
yeah, I remember.
in that networking event, and I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't even have this AI podcast idea at that time, and
Uh-huh.
I was just focusing on growing the business, etc. But I always kept you in the back of my mind, and I think
Awesome.
oh yeah, we were at another event. I bumped you in another event
I
you were
remember
doing.
seeing you, meeting you
Yeah,
once.
because I forgot your the person that y'all were taking photos and converting
Oh,
them.
the
So I was working
photo,
with,
yeah,
yeah,
in the AI photo booth, yeah.
yeah. So your colleague I was had a good interaction with, and then seeing, especially in this area, I think this is I've had different guests on so far, but I wanted something more on the visual side of things, different technologies related to that, and you have a unique background, so and you're getting gaining momentum, and the fact that you've been able to bootstrap and move forward and get some wins under your belt and go forward, that's very encouraging, so kudos to you for that.
Thank you so much. And I mean, yeah, I remember meeting you, and it's that's what I'm saying. It's so great being just part of this AI community. It's people who would have never thought they were going to enter in this new space. Like, it's really providing opportunity for everyone. And yeah, like, and thank you so much for having me. It's been really great.
No, this has been fantastic. I think we've had a wonderful discussion. We've talked about just so many different topics in terms of just getting into the space, democratization, scaling your business, the different technologies, making sure that we're responsible and ethical with our AI, right? Um, I think it's been good, and also about different backgrounds and perspectives, unique perspectives. So, you know, I just want to make sure that everyone in our audience, make sure to check out and connect with Jabeen. It's Zaidi. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and find us on your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple. I think we'll be on Patreon too. I've learned a lot from this episode, and I can't thank you, Jabeen, for your insights with us today. So, where can people get in touch with you or hold you?
Yeah, well, everyone can go today on spring.design is the URL to go ahead, create a free account, start using Spring today, and I'd love to be part of your creative journey. And yeah, please follow me on LinkedIn. And we also have Instagram, Spring AI Studio, and on TikTok as well, and on YouTube. So search us, follow us, and I'd love for you to also share what you create using Spring on social media. So tag us as well. Thank you so much for having me.
That's awesome. And I'm also going to let our audience know I'm excited about also our next session with our special guest. His name is Luigi Linguido, founder and CEO of Before AI. So he's going to talk about how predictive AI technologies can, using predictive attack intelligence and preemptive anti-fraud and digital risk protection services to augment cybersecurity to defend networks and brands. And that reminds me of a question I forgot to ask in the technology. You had mentioned about security and privacy. So how are you handling some of the secure aspects of the platform?
So, so like we said, we don't save any images that are uploaded, edited, and then we have privacy controls in our admin dashboard. So when you sign in and you go to your settings, you can just say, save private only to me or for everyone, like images. So we've created that in our cloud.
Well, that's amazing. And then any closing thoughts from you that you want to share with the audience, just off the cuff?
Well, I'm excited for everyone to try out our AI photo booth, our motion maker, and our magic brush. Those are our three newest tools that we've launched. And I would love to see what you create with it. So please do share and share with us and tag us and start your journey on spring.design.
Awesome. I know I'm doing that. I just went in today, and after this conversation, I definitely want to get more into it. So I'm your host, Sanjay Kalluvilayil, founder and CEO of Stonehouse Advisors, a consultancy focused on helping founders and businesses grow, transform, and scale their businesses to new levels and dimensions. And, we're going to close out the AI Space podcast, where we strive to empower AI founders, innovators like Jabeen, startups, and businesses to drive innovation and scale their initiatives with game-changing insights. Thank you all. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye.